Hello and welcome in Chicago. Well, wasn't that a fun weekend? The sun was shining, the Cubs were in town, the Cardinals were in town, the city was open. There are people out and about, jogging by the lake, riding their bikes, getting drunk at the ballpark and making multi-40-foot-long beer snakes that cost thousands of dollars. We will talk about that a little bit. And both baseball teams are in first place and have monster series starting this week. We will absolutely be talking about both the Cubs and the White Sox tonight on both sides of town. Also, in the last couple weeks, there's been a familiar name to Bears fans that has been letting his opinion be known, from all things about how they should handle Justin Fields to what life was like with the team. Jay Cutler has been making the podcasting rounds lately. We will discuss what old number 6 had to say about the team, both some prior stories and some current news coming up. And then also, the college football playoffs might be expanding. There was news that came out about a week ago that they could be going out to as many as 12 teams represented in the college football playoffs. And the talks will actually be going to a vote right here in Chicago later this week. So we will take a look at just what the committee is proposing. All that and more. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Everybody buckle up. Let's have some fun. And welcome into yet another episode of Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Thank you so very, very much for taking time out of your day to talk some sports with us here in the best sports city in the United States. It has been a busy day here at IE Sports Radio for a Monday. Usually I am the first show to kind of kick off the work week, as it will. Not so today. Larry B has been back. He has got the defining moment started back up. He restarted that a couple hours ago, bouncing all around the sports world, talking about all things from MLB to the NHRA to some volleyball, all kinds of everything mixed in there with Larry. And then just wrapping up, Gina G did her very first show, repping DeNorCal, talking about Northern California sports. An excellent first effort from Gina. That was a lot of fun. Good job, Gina. You can check her out. That's going to be a regular now on Mondays, that she is going to be directly before us, and she did an excellent job bouncing all around, talking about some college sports, talking about her favorite San Francisco Giants. That was the one team that the Cubs have not swept out in California. We will second time will be the charm. They'll be coming out to Wrigley sometime here soon, and a chance to possibly rectify that opportunity there. So just been a busy day, and we, of course, will not be done. Right after us, of course, will be Taryn Rodriguez doing Set Point, talking about all things volleyball right after us. So a busy day here at IE Sports Radio for a Monday. Kind of nice to see the Monday Club filling up and getting some more activity on Mondays. But that's enough about that. Let's dive into the stuff that was going on out on the diamond this past weekend. There are two teams in first place in town, the Cubs and the White Sox, just absolutely tearing it up right now in the baseball world. We will start with the White Sox. They spent the weekend over in Detroit, sweeping the Tigers. Carlos Rodon flirted with yet another no-hitter. You may remember that Rodon had a no-hitter earlier this season. He got all the way into the seventh with a no-hitter yesterday. Actually, probably should have kept it going. He got to a 2-2 count for the second out in the inning, threw a slider that was a beauty right over the middle of the plate, looked to be right at the bottom of the strike zone. Home plate umpire felt that it was a little low. Pitch tracks had it middle of the plate, just a little below the belt. Next pitch got belted against the wall for a double. There goes the no-hitter. Still Rodon, 7 solid innings, gave up just 1 run and got the win as the Sox won 4-1 yesterday. Liam Hendricks came in and locked down the save. The Sox just continue to mow through the American League Central. They are now up to the best run differential in all of baseball, which I know I have been talking a lot of statistics in baseball the last couple of weeks. Run differential, it's just like what it sounds. It is the number of runs you have scored versus the number of runs you've given up, and it's a really quick, easy way as a team to just look and see how good are they, because your records, of course, can always be a little deceiving. You could win a bunch of one-run games, and, you're 5 games over 500. Well, there's a world of difference between that and a team that is 5 games over 500, but is winning by 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 runs every time they go out. So the White Sox, the best run differential in baseball at a plus 106 coming into play today. And that's still, without the big boppers. You're still talking guys like Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez. Of course, they're both still out. And then you could add Nick Madrigal to the list of players that is going to be out for a while. Madrigal pulled his hamstring running down to first base last week. They put him on the 60-day injured list. So the White Sox injured list just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. But the Sox just keep winning. No matter what obstacles you throw at them, they just keep getting it done out there. Thanks in huge part, of course, to the starting pitching. And it's Lance Lynn on the bump tonight for the Sox as they get ready to take on the Tampa Bay Rays, who have the best record right now in the American League. They have one more win than the Sox do. Should be an outstanding series, and you want to talk about a great barometer, a great middle of the season's not quite right. We're about a third of the way through the season. A good, relatively mid-season test. Good. This could very well be a series that we see come late October. This might be an American League Championship Series preview that we've got going on starting on the South Side tonight. And the city is open. They can sell tickets. They can fill the ballpark if they're able to sell enough seats. I haven't seen ticket numbers for today for the White Sox, but a ballpark and a fan base that traditionally is very hesitant to go out and support the team unless they're way out in first place. Hey, you're 5.5 games up in the division, Sox fans. You've got the second best record in the American League. Obviously, the pandemic is not yet over, so take what I'm about to say with a relative grain of salt here. If you feel comfortable heading out to the ballpark, go out to the ballpark and support this team. They are worth watching. They're worth following. They've been doing great. Speaking of the city being open then, and fan bases that need no encouragement to head out to the fan base, the North Side this weekend, Wrigley Field. Oh my gosh. You knew as soon as they announced that, hey, the city is open starting Friday the 11th. Hey, look, the Cubs are in town. Oh, look, they're hosting the Cardinals. As soon as you saw all that, it was, okay, Wrigley's going to be jumping. And even though one of the games, two of the games were nationally televised, so later starts, how Wrigley is with almost exclusive day games during the weekend, two night games on the weekend, not normal that you see at Wrigley. And those, I want to take a second and talk about the jerseys that the Cubs wore, their City Connect jerseys that they wore on Saturday. Not my thing. Not my thing. The Sox definitely did a better job with the City Connect. I loved those South Side jerseys. I liked the phrase Wrigleyville to put on there, but the color scheme was just weird and off and just not my thing. The navy blue is not a Cubs color. To have the light blue, the kind of City of Chicago blue in there was nice. I was not a fan of the navy blue at all. I would have preferred, if you're going to do an alternate, I've heard some people say, I've heard an argument made that the Cubs should have done a blank white jersey. That could have been kind of cool. That would be a very, very retro look. I would actually prefer, if you're going to do an alternate jersey for the Cubs, don't change any of the colors. Just change the hierarchy. I would have loved to have seen a red jersey for the Cubs. Really make it, you want to make it different, but you want to stay true to your regular color palette. I think focusing on the red instead of creating a new navy blue color would have looked cooler. But it worked out. They won it. They pulled it off 1-7-2 on Saturday. Craig Kimbrell this weekend, my goodness, he pitched in all 3 games against the Cardinals and got the save in all 3 of them. I would imagine he's got to have the night off tonight, as the Cubs are also in a battle of first place teams in the National League. They are out in Queens tonight to start a 4-game series with the Mets. So shout out to the show that never sleeps on Wednesday nights. I was chatting back and forth with Pierre and Harrison yesterday. We're going to have a little show bet between our 2 shows. Whichever city wins the series, the loser will be appearing as a guest on the winning show, and we will talk some baseball back and forth. Of course, it's a 4-game set. I didn't remember that at the time I set the bet. So of course now they'll go and split. But I have all the confidence in the world that the Cubs will take at least 3 of the 4 out there in Queens this week. They did sweep the Mets at Wrigley earlier this season, so we'll see what comes of it. But it was just so much fun to see, first of all, to see Wrigley packed with people. Part of me, I did have to separate part of my brain there. The pandemic is not over. Still, so seeing crowds like that, it's a little jarring, and you hope everybody there is vaccinated or wearing masks. I did not see very many masks when you were seeing the crowd shots. So hopefully the people there were vaccinated. It's on the honor system, of course. Please, if you are not vaccinated, please keep continuing to wear a mask. Please continue to follow the appropriate guidelines. Yes, the city is open. Yes, things are loosening up. It is loosening up for people that are vaccinated. If you have questions or concerns with the vaccine, please talk to people in the medical profession. I harp on this because I've mentioned it before. My sister is a nurse. She has dealt with this both on a personal and a professional level. COVID is not fun. Take it seriously. We have these vaccines. Please, 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 if you are not vaccinated, please correct that error. Please take care of that. At the same time, if you have questions about it, talk to medical people. They will be more than happy to answer them for you. I saved that in part for the Cubs because Anthony Rizzo and Jason Hayward have both. The Cubs as a team are one of the few. They're one of only 8 teams in. They're one of only 8 teams in the MLB that have not hit the vaccination threshold of having things loosened. It's very ironic that the city is opened up and fans are allowed without masks at the ballpark, but the Cubs themselves are not because they don't have enough players vaccinated. And Jason Hayward and Anthony Rizzo have both come out in the last few days and said, hey, we're 2 of the people that are not vaccinated, that they have concerns. Get those concerns addressed and get this taken care of. From a selfish standpoint, you get to walk around without a mask. You get to be there. Go, you go on a road trip. You're out in New York right now. You could go out and hit the town while you're out there. You don't have to stay holed up in your hotel room. You can meet with your teammates. So I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent there with that. I know it's still a very sensitive topic for a lot of people. People, obviously, I've made my position very obvious where I stand on it, but get that taken care of. But it was also just fun at the ballpark seeing all the fans out there and seeing that ridiculous, absurd beer cup snake that ESPN was just fixated on. I know that's the kind of thing that rubs some fans the wrong way. It's some people look at that. Oh, it's the Cubby bleacher bums out there. They're not paying any attention to the game. They don't care about the game. They're doing their stunts. Man, we just got through a pandemic. Have some fun. Have some fun with that while you're out there. Enjoy being out at the ballpark and getting to see people again and having some fun. I did see, in case you somehow didn't see it, the center field bleacher bums stacked enough empty or partially empty beer cups to go all the way from the front of the bleachers in left center all the way back to the scoreboard in left center field. And it wasn't just a straight line, because obviously there were some fans that, no, I'm not supporting this thing. You could do this, but just don't involve me. So they had to snake it and weave it around. Somebody did the math on it. It was enough empty beer cups. It represented $30,000 in beer sales. It was an impressive display from the bleacher bums. So kudos to the bleacher bums for making the first series out a lot of fun. I also want to give a shout out real quick with the Cubs. Russ Dorsey did an awesome piece that came out this weekend that talked about the Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant connection that they've had, the friendship and bond that they have formed over the last several years of being teammates, that started from when they first met while Chris Bryant was doing kind of a promotional workout after signing his initial rookie deal with the Cubs and getting his initial signing bonus. He then was there to do a workout with the team, and here comes Anthony Rizzo, stops him and then points him out to all the other teammates and says, "Hey, here's the guy who's going to buy the spread tonight. Come meet this guy." And Bryant kind of taking offense at that, and who the heck are you and why are you giving me the business? to now the two of them are very inseparable. They have openly talked about being a package deal, that if one of them leaves in free agency, they will probably take the other one with them, and wherever the one goes to, whatever city they go to, the other might be sure to follow. So definitely, I will retweet it on the show's account here in just a little bit. Definitely be sure to check that piece out by Russ Dorsey in case you missed it over the weekend. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, there was somebody else at Wrigley this weekend that has been in the news a lot and has been talked about a lot, not only by guys on his current team, but by a rather famous alumnus of his current team. We will talk about that and more coming back. This is Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back and in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. I got so excited there that first segment, I realized I forgot to do the housekeeping that we always do. Well, let's rectify that now. Before we go any further, we here at IE Sports Radio, we are sponsored by the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get the second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. Follow them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, or find them on Facebook for searching Southern California Warriors. And then IE Sports Radio, we of course are on all the major social platforms. Twitter at IE Sports Radio, Instagram at IE Sports Radio, Facebook search IE Sports Radio, or go to our website iesportsradio.com. And then ways to follow along with this show on Twitter, if you are so inclined. You can follow along at IESRC. And I just retweeted that piece I was talking about by Russ Dorsey talking about Bryzzo through the last few years, that awesome relationship between Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo. So be sure to read that if you are at all a Cubs fan. And then also, if you want to follow along with my personal Twitter feed, you can do that at Adam_Karnick. So one of the other fans that was in attendance this weekend, who was at the Friday game, new Bears rookie quarterback Justin Fields was in attendance at Wrigley. He was in one of the boxes, so of course the crew at Marquee and at Wrigley itself, they knew where he was, and he made his appearance on the big screens to a thunderous standing ovation there at Wrigley Field. And it got me thinking about a few things. One, that was so different from the reaction Mitchell Trubisky got when he kind of did his first public appearance in the city at a Bulls game, and he proceeded to get booed by the United Center crowd. I thought that was a little harsh. I understood where the fans were coming from. They weren't necessarily booing Trubisky. They were booing the front office and the decision to take Trubisky. But still, it was kind of harsh. I follow that up by, here's Justin Fields in a white T-shirt and a Cubs hat, and the crowd just went nuts for him. But then also, Jay Cutler, former Bears quarterback, has been very active the last few weeks on the podcast circuit. He had some advice. He had some thoughts on how the Bears should handle Justin Fields, and then he also had some advice for Fields, as well as some other random Bears thoughts throughout. The the hit that I listened to was a segment he did on Redline Radio on an episode that got released last week. I will start with the field stuff first. I wanted to kind of react to it in general. Some of the things that he had to say, starting with Justin Fields. Cutler let it be known in his opinion, what he would do is start Fields on the bench. Bench Fields for possibly up to the entire rookie season. That letting a rookie, start on the bench, it allows him to kind of ease his way into the league and, not dive straight into the deep end. And that makes sense. That's how Cutler started. That's how Cutler began his career out in Denver. If you recall, he was Jake Plummer's backup for a long time into that season. And it was interesting enough, Mike Shanahan actually benched Plummer when the Broncos had a winning record. That he looked at it and he said, well, yes, we're winning, but I've seen this before. I know how it ends. We're not going to get where we want to go with the way Jake Plummer is playing and the way the team is playing right now. We need a spark. Let's put Cutler in there, and if it works, great. If not, well, he gets to get some experience, and it's not like we lost out on anything anyway, because he didn't feel they were going to win the Super Bowl that year anyway. As it turned out, Cutler was not quite ready. I don't believe the Broncos made the playoffs that season, and it kind of started. Yeah, Taryn. Yeah, Jake Plummer. Yeah, who knew that name would get brought up on today's show? Everybody tunes in to hear about Jake Plummer throwbacks there. Chat room's been active tonight, guys, too. I'm sorry I haven't been completely keeping up with it. Larry and J-Ron have been doing some great chat back and forth. Larry points out that the Red Stars will be hosting the Washington Spirit this weekend. Yes, and if you want to know more about the fabulous NWSL, you can check out the Soccer Scoreboard Show. Andrew does an awesome job hosting that. I learn something every time I tune in and listen to Andrew, so be sure to check that. But the chat room has been quite active tonight, guys. Appreciate the interaction there. If you'd like, of course, you can log into Spreaker.com and hop into the chat. It's free. There's no cost, and then we can have some fun back and forth there. But I'm not surprised that Cutler, that's the attitude he kind of is taking towards Justin Fields, because that's his own experience. And like Cutler or not, he had a relatively successful NFL career. Obviously, not the career that we were hoping for as Bears fans when they acquired him. But at the same time, you look at the statistical categories, he is the Bears' leader in a lot of them. He is still, for a lot of people, when you say the Bears quarterback, if he's not the first name people come up with, he's the second. He'd be right after Mitch simply because of recency bias. He would be probably the second name people would come up with when you think, prior Bears quarterbacks. Jay Cutler would be right there towards the top. So it would make sense that he would, call upon his own experience and, well, this is how I did it, and it relatively worked. It worked relatively well for him. In fact, he would probably argue that maybe he needed a little bit more time on the bench before coming out there, that he might have gotten thrown in a little too early. The other thing that I really like, there was some other stuff that obviously grabbed some more headlines, and we'll get to that in a second. But the thing that really jumped out to me was he was asked what advice he would give Justin Fields. And it was pointed out to him that a lot of Bears fans were already, looking at Justin as he's the quarterback savior for this franchise, that he is the guy that we've all been pining for. I know I look at it and it's, oh my gosh, yes, we finally have a franchise quarterback. And the easiest way probably to look at that right now is the jersey sales. The 3 of the top 4 selling NFL jerseys are Justin Fields' home jersey, Justin Fields' road jersey, Justin Fields' alternate orange jersey. So, yes, there's expectations are being heaped upon him from the fan base. And it was funny when that was pointed out to Cutler. Cutler immediately kind of did a "oh no" reaction, but then it was, all right, here'd be my, he preached patience. Just be patient. It's gonna come. Don't rush it. Don't rush while you're doing this. And I thought that was really cool to hear that advice. And it makes sense. You know, the game is fast. You don't need to worry about speeding. The game is plenty fast. You don't need to speed up the NFL game. Taryn, surprised that Justin Herbert has a more popular jersey than Mahomes and Rodgers. Some of that with jersey sales, they're not a perfect barometer of how to mark fan appreciation or expectations, because usually, I know, speaking for myself, other fans, of course, everybody's a little different, but usually once you have one, you don't necessarily go buy a second or third one of the same player. Some people do. Some people, it'll be, hey, I want my jersey to match the one that the team's wearing that day. But even then, usually at the most, you're only buying 3. So the numbers can fluctuate there. But yeah, it's a little surprising that Herbert would be a little bit more popular than Mahomes and Rodgers at the moment. But I'm sure that will, those change a lot. But some other interesting nuggets to hear from Cutler over the past week. And I agree with Cutler on his opinion on Fields of benching him. I agree to a point. I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say it. Start Justin Fields when he's ready. Don't necessarily rush to make him be ready week 1. Don't necessarily rush to get him out there right away. But don't hold him back either. Once Fields is ready, get him out there. Get him out there. Get him experience. Let's get the ball moving on this. Andy Dalton, to me, the Andy Dalton, however well or poorly Andy Dalton does, should not factor in the decision. It should be based solely upon, is Justin Fields ready? It should all be about Fields himself. When Fields is ready, get him out there. So I agree to a point with what Cutler is saying. And, of course, I guess I should yield to Jay. He played, and I didn't. But that's my take there. It was also interesting kind of listening to Jay. Talked about a wide range of things. Talked about Greg Olsen and his son, who just got a heart transplant. Congratulations to the Olsen family. I know that was a very, very scary time. His 8-year-old son needed a heart transplant. They got it. So it seems like the family is recovering well. So prayers out to the Olsen family as they go through this. He also he talked a little bit about his time when it looked like he was going to be a color analyst for Fox. And yes, that was indeed legit. And in fact, it looked like his very first game was going to be a Bears game. He talked about how he was all set to do it. And then Adam Gase, who was at the time coach of the Dolphins, called and said, hey, we need a quarterback. And Kristen Cavallari, his then wife, looked at Jay and said, you need to take that job. I like that job way better than the TV job. And he was, okay, because it's Adam, I'll take it. So he talked about that a little bit. The other thing that really caught a lot of people's attention was he talked about the Mark Trestman era. 2 years there where it started off promising and ended in a absolute train wreck where the entire defense had given up on the head coach, and even a good chunk of the offense had just absolutely written off the head coach, that we are not listening to this guy. We are not listening to what this guy has to say. We're just moving on, and we're going to play for ourselves out there right now. It was very interesting. And he talked about how that happened. And he said, I'm real good with Trestman as a guy. The big issue was, from Cutler's perspective, Trestman, he came over from the Canadian Football League, and what Trestman didn't understand was that things that work from a coaching perspective in the Canadian League do not automatically translate to the National Football League. And the big thing that he talked about was how Trestman wanted to grow the man. It was very important to Trestman to not only develop a winning football team, but to develop good young men. And Jay pointed out the NFL is a business, and that gets the players learn that at such an early time from the NFL of, oh man, the second the guaranteed money is off of your contract, yep, you're gone. Oh, you got hurt. Oh, there's no guaranteed money left on your deal. We could put you on injured reserve and have to pay you your money, or we could cut you and not owe you anything. Bye-bye, see ya. So players learn at a very quick and early rate in the NFL that this is a business. So I got to get mine while I can get mine. And players gross oversimplification here. By and large, players aren't going to be interested in becoming better men through the act of playing football in the NFL. They're there to make sure that they get paid. And Jay talked about how there were guys that were complete lunatics off the field, but it was fine because they'd come to work and they'd get the job done. And he said the grow the man stuff worked as long as the team was winning. As soon as the team stopped winning, that was it. That was the moment that Trestman lost the locker room and had no chance of getting it back, because guys were, I have no interest in making myself a better person. I got to make sure that I get paid. Talk to me about the getting. We're here to win. We're here to get our money, and we're here to win. Talk to me about getting to be a better person when we're on a 5-game winning streak, not on a 3-game losing streak. And that was when Trestman just lost the locker room. And it makes sense. I mean, you look at some of those games that second season, you could just tell guys were just absolutely playing for themselves out there. And there was an absolute lack of leadership on the team at that point. One last thing from Cutler, and then we're going to take one more quick break here. Cutler did mention that he is a fan of Matt Nagy. He doesn't understand why there's as much criticism of Nagy as there is. And it, again, Jay's a quarterback. Makes sense. He started off with Lovey, who he told a story of how Olin Kreutz came to Lovey one offseason after they lost the NFC Championship game to the Packers. He said, Lovey, you got to get a guard next to me. You got to get somebody next to me that can help. We got to get some help on the offensive line. And Lovey said, oh, I got you, dude. Turned right around and signed Julius Peppers in free agency. So Cutler could understand and see, he was used to having a defensive coach, and getting a defensive coach is fine, but you've got to give attention to the offense too. And so having a coach who cares about the offensive stuff and is good at the offensive stuff. Nagy's not perfect, obviously, but obviously he's a quarterback-friendly guy, and so you can understand why Cutler likes him. And so put Cutler in the Matt Nagy corner for what that is worth. All right, we're going to take one more quick break, and then we're going to stick with football, but we're going to transition over to the college game. There are going to be some very serious discussions happening here in Chicago later this week. We might be seeing a bigger college football playoff field in the near future. This is Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world. From the English Premier League, to the World Cup, to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You gotta check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. One more quick shout out to our sponsor, the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Follow them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, or on Facebook by searching Southern California Warriors. And thank you to them for continuing to sponsor IE Sports Radio. It is always nice to help keep the lights on. It may seem like a small thing, but it is a big thing to us. You may have heard in that last drop there for Set Point. Definitely check that out. Taryn is coming up right after us tonight with Set Point, and he was pointing out to me, I did not know this, there is a professional men's volleyball team right here in Chicago, and they have made the playoffs. They kind of had to sneak into the playoffs based on what Taryn was telling me. They finished 3-6 overall, but they got in. That's the important part. That's all that matters. Just get your foot in the door. And I love the name, the Chicago Untouchables. Love that name. Go for it. That is, I love that movie. So that's the Chicago way. I love it. So if you want to know more about them, or just in general, check out Taryn's show. You will learn something, I promise you. So check out Taryn's show right after us, right here on IE Sports Radio. And then also looking in the chat, Larry commented, going back to the comments there about Jay Cutler and Mark Trestman. At some point, you got to just save the grow the man stuff for college teams. And yes, it does work a lot better when you're dealing with semi-professional. Not that the Canadian Football League isn't professional, it is, but a lower definitely that works more with lower tier leagues and teams than it does at the absolute pinnacle of the sport. Speaking of college teams, you may not have seen it, or maybe you did, last week, that the College Football Playoffs Committee has officially proposed expanding from 4 teams all the way up to 12 So we're going to dive into that a little. That's a lot there. Let's dive into that a little bit. First of all, it would not happen right away. Do not get your hopes up that in 7 months' time we're going to be watching a true 12-team playoff. It's not going to happen. The current format is slated to go through the 2025-2026 season. So I don't know that it'll necessarily wait that long to start, but it could be a couple of years before we see this implemented. But what it would be, I love some of the parts of this. You would have 6 conference champions. The top 6 conference champions would qualify. It wouldn't be like the basketball tournament where you have specific conferences get automatic bids, but let's face it, the teams that are the Power 5, you know their conference champs, are going to get in. Plus then one other. So the top 6 conference champions would all get in, and then the final 6 seeds would be determined by rankings. It would simply be you look at you pull the conference champions out of the rankings, and then just take teams 1 through 6, and that's who it would be. The top, I believe it was the top 4 seeds would all get a bye week through the first round, and then 5 through 12, 5 playing 12, 6 playing 11, etc., would play around, winners advancing, lowest remaining seed plays the highest remaining seed, and so on. Starting with the second round, the first round would be hosted at the schools themselves, and then starting with the second round, they would be bowl games, and then working your way towards the last two remaining teams would play for the national championship. I love the idea on paper. I've always thought it's so weird that college football has 5, what they call the Power 5 conferences, yet only 4 teams make it into the playoffs. That means best case scenario, at least a minimum of one of your conferences is not going to be represented in your playoffs. I've always thought that's weird. I've always thought that's dumb. I've always thought that's bad. On the other part of it too, the other part of it too is one of the awesome things about March Madness is we get to learn about schools like George Mason, Loyola of Chicago. Larry's pointing out in the chat room, University of Central Florida, learning about some schools that you might not otherwise know about or have heard of. So I love that there's a guarantee that at least one conference champ will be from outside of the Power 5. It'll give you that Cinderella aspect. I've been begging for that from college football, to have a Cinderella team. Even if they get blown out in the first round. Taryn pointed out Oral Roberts this year, Morehead State. Yes, you can name all the Cinderellas from the basketball tournament. We never had that in college football because we're so wrapped up of, well, you didn't beat anybody good. They don't get the chance to play anybody good. If you're a Power 5 conference, your preseason schedule, you don't schedule anybody tougher than St. Mary's School for the Blind and Deaf Children, because if you lose, you have no shot then at making the playoffs. So there's not been an avenue for one of the group of 5 conference champions to get represented in the playoff as it stands now. So I love that they'd be letting in the 6 conference champions to guarantee that one of the group of 5 schools will get in. I'd like to think that there's the possibility that a second one might get in there, but I know better because it's still the playoff committee. You're still going by the rankings, which the rankings are always going to put a bias towards the Power 5 schools and Notre Dame. They're just always going to put that bias towards that because of the level of opponent. So I know that's going to be in there. The next step in this is there's going to be a vote from the committee later this week. They're meeting the 17th and the 18th here in Chicago. So they will vote on that, whether to move it down the chain, but it's still very encouraging to see and very exciting to see that college football playoffs may indeed be expanding. I know that the semifinals have tended to be blowouts every year, and so that might still happen even under this system, but at least you're getting more schools in there. You're getting the chance to... You're just making it cleaner. You're just making it cleaner. And hey, we all know it's going to generate more money. Probably more. What they'll probably find out after doing this for a year is it generates as much, if not more money than the current bowl system does. All right, that does it for our show this week. I know we went through a lot of reacting to a lot of different things. I hope I didn't go off on too many tangents today, but thank you. Lots of thank yous to throw out there. Thank you, of course, to the Southern California Warriors for continuing to sponsor us. Thank you to Larry for doing all the stuff he does behind the scenes here at IE Sports Radio, and also then today for being in the chat room. Thank you to Larry, thank you to Taryn, thank you to J-Ron for hanging out in the chat room with us today, and thank you for continuing to come here and listen and interact and just be a part of the sports scene here. I really appreciate that you guys are continuing to do this. It means a lot to me. Enjoy the city being open. Continue to be safe. Continue to be responsible. But have some fun. Summer is here. The light is at the end of the tunnel. Let's enjoy this. Until next week, I'm Adam Karnick. I am the host here at Chi-Town Weekly. Thank you so much for continuing to be here. Be sure to stick around to listen to Taryn Rodriguez and Set Point. He will be discussing all kinds of things volleyball, including the Chicago Untouchables. I'm going to learn a thing or two about volleyball tonight. See you next week.